it's Rachel with Didi, and today we're going to work on Didi walking nicely on a leash by your right side like you requested. I'm going to show you a couple techniques how to do this. First, we're going to review loose leash walking and how to keep Didi from pulling on the leash. And then I'm also going to give him an introduction to heeling on the right side like you want. So you can use both techniques together in order to get Didi to walk the way you want. First of all, we're going to start with loose leash walking because I know Didi gets really excited and likes to pull when he's on the leash and going somewhere new. So there are a couple methods you can use for loose leash walking. The first method is called the back method. Now, what I'm going to do is when Didi starts pulling on me, I'm going to stop, plant my feet, pat my leg or snap my fingers and say, Didi, back, so that he comes to me and we get some nice slack in this leash. Now, the key to loose leash walking is to give him the whole leash. That way, he has plenty of room to run and explore, and you can definitely tell when it gets tight. When it gets tight, like this, that's when you pat your legs and say, Didi, back, and get him to come to you so the leash gets loose. We'll try that first, and I'll show you what that looks like. So Didi, come here. Now remember, with loose leash walking, we usually don't use treats because the treat is we get to continue our walk. So I'm going to try walking him around, so hopefully he starts pulling, and that way I can show you how to do the back method. All right, he did pretty well. He seems to only want to pull when he's going out that way because that's where you normally pick him up and drop him off, so he knows that's kind of an exit there. So you might not be able to see or hear me that well, but all I'm doing is tapping my leg and telling him, Didi, back. So we're going to practice that a little bit more. We'll see how he does. All right, Didi did a great job there. He was very responsive, and as you can see, it didn't take long for him to calm down, and he was walking calmly, usually by my right side. Now, the purpose of this was just to get him to walk calmly in the first place and to keep him from pulling, but it's good that he was on the right side. Now I'm going to show you another method that we call the back method, or the reverse method. I'm sorry, the first method was the back method, now this is the reverse method. Now how we do this is, again, give Didi the length of the full leash, so I just am holding on to the end. Now, with this, as soon as he starts to pull, if he's pulling this way, I'm going to turn 180 degrees, give the leash a little wiggle or a little tug, and say, Didi, this way, and start walking in the other direction. Now, it's important with this that you don't yank him around. You just want to get him to respond by a little pull of the leash. And he would also notice this a lot more if he was wearing a harness, which you said he is better with harness. But we're just practicing now. I want to work with him so that he learns to walk nicely at all times, whether it's a collar or a harness. So, oh, hush, Didi. So, a lot of times if you pull hard on a dog, they feel that resistance and they want to try to fight against it, and they feel like they're being restrained, so they want to pull harder. So that's why you just turn, give a little wiggle or a little tug on the leash, a couple small tugs like this, just to get his attention and start walking the other way. So you just say, Didi, this way, and turn around. So I'll show you what that one looks like here. So come on, Didi. right, he only pulls in one direction, and I kind of had to throw on the brakes there, give him a couple tugs to get around, but he did do it. Just turn 180 degrees, so let's try it again. Didi, this way. All right, he did really well there. As you can tell, he was pulling each direction, so I was able to show you a little bit more how to do this one. But if you noticed, he was pulling much less towards the end than he was at the beginning. He wasn't dragging me forward, and it was a lot easier for me to correct him, and he was learning right away to walk more nicely on a leash. Now, an important thing about loose leash walking is you need to practice this with him every day. I would suggest practicing for at least 20 to 30 minutes and just taking the time to use both the back method and the reverse method that I showed you to see which one he responds to best and use that to get him to walk nicely. If you practice every day like that, he's going to start to learn that it's best to just walk nicely on the leash, in a loose leash, because he gets to see more instead of just seeing the same things over and over by going back and forth. He gets to explore more if he walks nicely, and you get to continue your walk. So, remember to practice both of those by saying Didi back and waiting until the leash gets slack, or turning around saying Didi this way and tugging on the leash. Now, to get him to walk nicely by your right side, I'm going to show him how to heel, and we're always going to do the heel on the right side. Now, don't do heel for the entire walk because it's more of a work, but it will teach you and teach him to get a little more control over him if he is excited, to get him through, a certain situation with a lot of distractions, and it's good practice, and that way he'll naturally start to go to your right side. If you practice heeling for 2 to 3 minutes every 10 minutes during your walk, for example. So he gets used to being on your right side. So with the heel, he always starts out in a sit, and he walks right close to your side, and whenever you stop walking, he sits. Now, I'm just introducing this to him, and I'm going to use treats for this. When I stop, I will bait him up into a sit with the treat. I don't want to tell him to sit when I stop because that is part of the heel command. When I say heel, I want him to know that it includes sitting when I stop. He's not going to know that yet, but I need to go over that. So I'll tell him to sit first, tell him to heel, and then after that, whenever I stop, he should automatically sit once he gets better at this. So, Didi, come here. Come on, Didi. All right. So, I'm going to turn around and get him sitting on my right side. Come here, Didi. Sit. Oops. Didi, sit. Sit. Good. Sit. All right. And now from here, you're going to lead with your right leg, the one closest to Didi, and tell him to heel. So, Didi, heel. Heel.